Oh yeah, you guys know this thing's freaking looking good. So y'all see, in fact, you may have even seen one of the last videos that we got the top end of the motor all together. So as far as engine wise, she's pretty much ready to go. But what we do need to do is we do need to start getting some of the last little bit of the fluid stuff squared away. So ICT makes a little coupler right here, and in that coupler it's got the steam port to connect from the crossover into here. Of course, it's lost in the mail somewhere, so we're waiting on that. But in the meantime, wanted to show you what we got for fuel lines. So the guys at Red Horse hooked us up. I love their product. Been using it actually quite a little bit here lately. And they even hooked us up with the shirt and some stickers and whatnot. So huge props to them. But guys, in this box right here will be pretty much everything we need to do to finish the Motion Raceworks catch can setup. So I got 10 AN line for that. And then my fuel line consists of 8 and 6 AN stuff. But I'm telling you guys right now, if y'all are looking for some really good AN fittings, I mean, look no further. These guys got it going on. We even got, of course, AN line. The 8 AN and 6 AN line, we actually got E85 compatible stuff because I think I might actually run this thing on E85. I think I'm going to try that and see how it does naturally aspirate it, which will probably lend itself well for a little project we have going on in the future where something might be occupying this space. A little teaser there. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to get all of the fuel lines laid out. So, of course, you guys have probably seen the fuel tank that we run right here when we were like doing the nitrous stuff. So I'm probably going to keep that if we do an ED5 setup. So I have a, regular run pump gas on the street. And then for the racetrack, we can use the cell up here for ED5. We'll do our lines, tie it into the front of the rail, go around the back and run up here. And then, of course, we'll get the radiator stuff kind of squared away. And then once we get that knocked out, some of the other minor stuff, like getting the catch cam plumbed up and whatnot. You guys probably also saw in the last video that we got some of the throttle cable stuff squared away. So all of these Trailblazers, they're all fly-by-wire, so they never had a cable throttle body. So we actually modified the factory gas pedal to run this setup. I much prefer a cable throttle body. It's just, I don't know, I guess it's personal preference. But what we did here is we actually took like a 2000 Silverado full-size truck bracket. Of course, just got it stuck on here for right now. But I basically took that bracket, and just to make it look nicer, I kind of trimmed it up a little bit. And instead of that, like the tab on the front, if you've ever seen one, it's got that big old square hole in it. I actually welded like a really nice tab on there. Painted it just to kind of clean it up. So I wish Motion Raceworks or somebody sold a billet bracket, but maybe one day that'll come. So let me show you here real quick what we did to the gas pedal to allow us to run a cable throttle body. All right, guys, so this is the factory gas pedal that's in these things, and this Trailblazer was fully optioned, so I mean, she had like the adjustable pedals and everything on it. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel here, one, because we have no time, and we've got to be racing here in just a couple weeks. So what I did is I just took the factory pedal, and in case I ever did want to go to back to electronic throttle body, but basically I just welded this setup right here on the top, and then that little tab right here actually allows us to run the cable right through, and it clears everything underneath the dash. And then at that point, what I did was I just drilled a hole right there in the firewall for the cable. So literally this will bolt right back in, and it'll keep, the factory pedal, which I wanted to kind of, I didn't want to run like a racing pedal. I wanted to kind of keep things semi-factory on the inside. So basically we did this setup here, and it worked out pretty good. So we'll go ahead and get this bolted up. Let's go ahead and let's get all of our AN lines squared away. That way we can go ahead and get some fluids in this thing. And let's go ahead and fire this bad girl up. All right, guys, finally. Last time we're gonna be setting this intake on here. So after all our mock up and everything, we've got to reach back here and hook up the map sensor. We're running an internal map sensor on this Holly. So it's actually just a rubber hose going inside to the computer. So we got that hooked up. Next up is the brake booster hose. All right, next up we're gonna plug in the injectors. And then after that, we are going to plug in
the intake temperature sensor. There's a lot of stuff back here. Oh yeah, guys, fun fact. Don't forget the intake runner O-rings, because I did. Whoops.
All right, we are super close to making some noise with this thing. So I got my steam port line made going into the upper radiator hose. Got the upper radiator hose finished up. I do got to finish the bottom one real quick before you can put some water in it. But I got all my fuel lines made. So coming from the stock tank, I'm gonna do just this little 180 going into the rail. And then when we run the race tank, basically what I do is I just unscrew this, cap that, and then I run a line from this to my race tank that I have up here. That's basically like a standalone deal. Let's see here. We got the throttle cable and all that in. I just got to bolt the pedal back in and then tighten up the cable and get the slack out of that. But guys, we are super close. I've got the back vent line made for the catch tank, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reuse the old line that I had for this. We're just going to cut it and use that new 45 fitting. And in fact, I'll show you guys here real quick how to put these AN lines together.
All right, so real quick when you're making these things, so I go ahead and I assemble one end, which of course we'll show you how to do that here shortly. But once we get one end done, I like to lay it out, and then I'll just use some masking tape, and I get my length of the hose where we need to cut it. And then let's go ahead, we'll pop this off and we'll cut it real quick.
All right, so there's a lot of different ways to cut this hose. They make like big, basically like crimp cutters. I just like to use a 90-degree cutoff wheel. Usually works pretty good. So take it, we'll go ahead and we will get this cut. So at this point, guys, we're left with a pretty clean cut. So what I do is I just pop the tape off real quick. Take my tape off, and then important, take some compressed air, blow this hose out good. Because like especially on fuel lines, you do not want to get that rubber stuff in your like fuel injectors and whatnot. So just blow this out real good, and then we'll blow it out one more time once we get this last hose in on. All right, so to assemble this stuff right, the best way to do it is have a shop vise. So this right here, this is where I was saying mark it a 1/4 inch back. So like where this is, 1/4 inch back from there. And I'll show you why. Because there's threads right in here about a 1/4 inch deep, and you just want that hose to butt up right up to them threads. At this point, we're going to go ahead, we're going to take the end of the hose, and we are going to push it right onto here. And usually kind of doing like a twisting and turning motion, usually gets them to seat pretty quick. So you'll see now that that hose is butted up right to the threads. At this point, we'll stick it in the vise, and kind of critical step, get you some aluminum soft jaws so you do not mess up your anodizing. And I usually just hold this thing just over flush. And then I take me some WD-40, spray the threads, spray the end of the hose. And then you can even, just for good measure, you can take some WD-40 and just kind of spray it on these threads here real quick. And then stick it in. Key, you do not want this hose to push out when you screw down. The good news is if you use really good hose ends like these Red Horse ones, you almost never run into that. It's usually like the really cheap, crappy ones that it tries to push the hose out. So at this point, I just use an adjustable wrench, and you are going to screw this down, making sure the hose is not pushing out, which ours is not. And then you're going to screw this all the way down until this this nut butts right up to the rest of the hose fitting. And just like that, we're tight. And now, go ahead and pull this back out. And just like that, we got us a completed hose in. So I'd usually just take some paper towels, wipe off the WD-40. And then again, guys, key, just make sure you blow this hose back out, and we can go ahead and we can put it on. Okay, guys, here we go. So the moment we've all been waiting for, getting this bad unit started up. And I'm just going to go ahead and say right off the bat, I am not a tuner. So this thing, probably if it even does fire up, it's probably going to be pretty rough in the beginning.
until I can start working on the idle tuning and get that sorted out. I don't even have any water in this thing right now, so I really can't run it real long anyway. But we've done, just kind of real quick, we've done a, oh, I'll turn this back on. I wrote a file for it real fast. Again, just something just to hopefully get it running. But we've got all this in place. Everything seems okay. I've done a fuel check. Make sure there won't no leaks or nothing like that. Come on, come on. Freaking battery. All right, guys, here we go. Try that again. Needs a little more air, a little more fuel. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, here we go. Now turn the idle down just a touch. That's just something burning off the headers there. That thing sounds good. I got the full exhaust on with both mufflers. But not bad. Well, guys, the tune's way off, but you know what? Not bad for a startup tune. So we've got to get some water in this motor. I'm still waiting on some stuff for the lower radiator hose. Hopefully that'll show up any day. Then we can go ahead and we can get some water in the system. I can wire in the electric water pump, and we can actually run this thing more than just for a couple seconds. But I wanted you guys to hear this thing run. I know you all have been patiently waiting for that to happen. We're about 95% done with it. We finally got enough stuff in just to at least make some noise with it. But the fun stuff's coming, guys. So we are going to, of course, start working on the drivability and the idle tune stuff, and I'll even show you how to do that. But we are going to be throwing this thing on the rollers here in about a week or two. So be looking for the dyno video on that. I know you guys want to see the wide open rips, and frankly, I do too. That's kind of the fun part. So be on the lookout for that. Sick week, it is less than a month away. You guys know that we were taking this, which again, we're about 95% done on that. Cadillac's about 80%, but we are working till midnight every single night to make this happen. So video will be coming out this week on that too, to give you all some updates on that. And if any of you guys are going to be going to any of the tracks during Sick Week, so Bradenton, Orlando, Gainesville, and South Georgia Motorsports Park, make sure you stop by and say hey. We love meeting you guys. Also, we've had a huge jump in subscribers here lately. And guys, I cannot tell you how much that motivates me to make more videos for y'all. So if you are not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. And we are going to be doing uploads every single day during Sick Week. So the racetrack stuff, the behind the scenes, drive antics and all that as well. All that'll be covered. You guys are not going to want to miss that. But as always, guys, I cannot begin to express how much I appreciate you guys watching these videos, man. It's been pretty cool to see the growth here, and the best is yet to come. As always, we appreciate the love, and we'll catch you on the next one.